Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Learn with Portia. We are here once again to learn about Python programming, right? Because we are going to learn about one of the IDEs, which is interactive environment that we get to use when it comes to Python programming. As you can see from my screen, this is Jupyter Notebook, or what we call Jupyter. I'm sure some of us have heard of it, some of us are very new to it, but this is Jupyter Notebook. It is an interactive environment that is being used to write code, run code, to visualize your data, analyze your data. You can also use it to create documents. Very shocking. We are going to learn about Python programming. So we need to understand this particular IDE that will help us with our learning in the Python programming. Things that you can put in Jupyter. You use it to write code, Python, accepted. You can use it to write text by making use of Markdown. You want an explanation or you want it to use it as note. Jupyter can be used for that. We also use it to create visuals, right? When you analyze your data, you make use of visuals. So you use Jupyter Notebook to create visuals. Plot, chart, images can be inserted here. Videos can also be inserted here. And we have another part where you can also add equations, right? Making use of LaTeX, you can make use of it to write equation. Mostly, Jupyter Notebook are used when it comes to data analysis, business analysis, data science, machine learning. Some of us use it for education, some also for research, because you can write code, explain code, and visualize data all in one place. Jupyter Notebook support a lot of languages, but the most common you get to see is the Python programming language. As you can see the interface, this is what we call the notebook interface. Everything that we get to see here is what we call the notebook interface. And as you can see, this is a local host. It is being hosted, right? So at the top here, there is a link where you can see that there is a file path attached to the link. Localhost, notebook, download, YouTube, Python. Those are the file path where this particular file that I have opened, this notebook, is going to be saved. That is where we have it here. And then we have the sign for Jupyter itself. Beside it, we have untitled. Anytime you get to open a new Jupyter notebook, it comes with untitled, meaning you have to go ahead, edit it, and then give it the title that you would want to give. So I have untitled here. I have last checkpoint. That is the saving point. Have I saved it? I opened this 8 minutes ago, nothing saved, and you can see it there, nothing saved. So last checkpoint will be 8 minutes ago. We have what we call cells, right? In Jupyter Notebook, this is what we call cells. This particular box that we see here is what we call cells. Cells are the portion or the part that allows us to write the codes, to write the note, to write the explanation, to do the visualization. Any code that I would want to write, I need to put it in this particular cell. So you can see when I click in there, it is being highlighted. If I put in the number 2, the number 2 is there. That is what we call cell. We mostly call it the code cell because that is where you get to put your code cell in there. So if I write 2 here, this particular tool is in a cell. I can go here and then say click to add a cell. I'll add a cell. In adding a cell, when I click on the other cell, right, I can also write Portia. So you can see these cells can be added. It's a lot that can be added. And that is where all the code, the explanations, the images that you want to put in there get there. This is just a number I've written 2. This is just a name I have written Portia. 1 can be a code cell. 1 can be what we call a markdown cell. Both of them are noun cells, but we can make changes. So 1 become a code cell. Code cell means that it contains Python syntaxes and you run it. Markdown cells means that you are adding text, or it contains some headings or some explanations or some notes or some images. How do I make the changes? When we come to the very top here, you can see we have code. At default, every new cell that we get to add is a code cell. Until you make the changes for it not to become a code cell, at default, every new cell you get to add is a code cell. So you see the drop down button beside it. When you click on it, or you put your cursor on the drop down button, it says select the cell type. So I'm going to click on it, and then I have code, markdown, and raw. Raw data and markdown data, making it just a text data, right? Or making it in such a way that I can just insert an image and I'm good to go. Then we have the code cell. So I am going to leave the very first one with the digit 2 as a code cell. You can see here. Then let's go to Portia. Let's come to the top here and then click on Markdown. When we click on Markdown, there is a difference between the two cells now. One of the cells still contains this particular box that was beside it. And the very second one, the box is missing. You can also see that when the cell with Portia was changed to a Markdown, and I select it at the top here, you can see a Markdown. When I go to the cell with digit 2, you see a code. So this is the difference between the two. The first one is a code cell, so you can see the box beside it. When you run it, this particular box changes or is being numbered. The second one is a Markdown, so there's no box beside it. This is just coming as a plain text, right? Let's run it for us to see. So first one code cell, we run it. Second one Markdown, we run it. There's a difference between the two. The code cell, when we run it, there's a number in the box beside it. And then because it was 2 in there, it gives us a digit 2. The Markdown cell, when we run it, there is no number beside it. It's just the text Portia that is pasted in there. So that is the difference between the two. So we have the Jupyter interface itself. Then in there, you get to have the cells where you have the code cell or a Markdown cell. Another thing here is also the kernel. When you check the right side here, Python 3 IPY kernel. This is what we call the engine, right? This is what we call the engine. The engine that runs the code is what we call the kernel. So because we are using it for a Python programming, it's a Python kernel that executes Python code. So you can see IPY kernel, a Python kernel that executes a Python code. And a kernel means the engine that runs the code. You can see Python 3 here. There are versions of Python, and I am using Python 3. So my Jupyter runs on Python 3. That is why we have the version for the Python you are making use of here. And then we have the IPY kernel. This gives us the extension, right, for this Jupyter Notebook. Every Jupyter Notebook comes with an extension of .ipynb. So .ipy notebook. .ipy notebook. That's why you have .ipynb attached as an extension for any Jupyter Notebook. So this is how the Jupyter interface works. The various things, or everything is important here, but these are like the necessities that allows Jupyter to be Jupyter. The interface where we have the kernel, we have the cells that allows us to put in our code or our test. If we have understood this, then let's go to the tabs. Let's check the tabs. We have File, Edit, View, Run, Kernel, Settings, Help. This is a tab that we have. Beneath the tab, we have some actions that can be performed or done. These are shortcuts for those actions that can be performed in Jupyter. Even in the cell, we realize that there were also some actions in there. Let's highlight that also. The cells also came with certain actions that can be performed. So take our time and go through each of them to know the various things we can actually do with Jupyter. Let's start with File. When I put my cursor or click on File, I have new console for notebook, save notebook. This is practically actions that can be taken pertaining to the Jupyter file. So I can create a new notebook. I can save the notebook I am working with. I can rename the notebook I am working with. I can load a notebook or revert a notebook to a checkpoint. So I have saved a particular notebook, right? Last checkpoint at the top here. And then I want to revert it to the previous checkpoint. I'll be able to do that. The notebook I'm working with, I need to download it. I can download it, save and export, meaning saving it and then sharing it somewhere else. Close and shut down or log out, it's also here. So these are actions that can be performed with respect to the actual Jupyter file you are working with. Next here is edit. Edit, undo, redo. You type something you want to undo, right? You type something you want to redo. You want to cut a cell, copy a cell, paste above, paste below. All those details are added in here. Delete, select, merge, split cell. So these are actions that can be done with respect to the cell that we are working with. The next tab we have here is view. So view allows us to activate command palette. Command palette is a place where you have various commands you would want to do, various things you would want to do. You can access it using the command palette. Open Jupyter Lab, right? Jupyter Notebooks are hosted from Jupyter Labs. The Jupyter Labs contain other things aside the Jupyter Notebook or the Jupyter itself. So if you want to go to your Jupyter Lab, you can go there, File Browser, Show Header, Zen Mode, Table of Content, Debugger Panel, Collapse Selected Code. All these things are added in here. So you can see this gives us details with respect to the actual Jupyter we are working with. Next, we have the run. We have run. Do you want to run a selected cell? Run selected cell and insert below, meaning after running what is in the cell, we insert another cell below. Do you want to just run the cell and do not advance? Run cell selected test, or current line in console. Run all above selected cell. Render all cells markdown. So you have code cell. You want to change all of them from code cell into markdown cell. Or you have plenty cells, you've typed in plenty things, either code cell or markdown cell, and then you would want to include all of them in there. It is allowed here. Then we have restart kernel and run also. There are instances where you'll be working in Jupyter Notebook and then you are running a particular code. It is taking longer period of time. What do? You can restart kernel and run also. Or you've run the cells quite some number of times. So you would want to just refresh everything. What do? You restart kernel and run all cells again. So this is when you have code cell or markdown cells and then you would want to run it. Just come to the run tab, you are good to go. The kernel tab gives us things pertaining to the kernel. So a kernel is running, you want to interrupt the kernel, you make use of it. You want to restart a particular kernel, it's also provided here. There are instances where you want to restart your kernel, but you want to clear the output of all the cells. The output they have given you, you do not need them, you just want to clear them. It is allowed here. We have restart kernel and run up to a selected cell. So you select a particular cell, you restart the kernel. When you run all the cells, it will run until that particular cell that you have selected. Then we have restart kernel and run all cells. So you will restart your kernel, run every cell that you have again.